most underrated bodybuilder of all time.
He's a machine, and he's a huge guy. I mean, when you stand next to him, look at the width of his shoulders and this latissimus development. I always just call him, instead of calling him Paul, I just call him, hey, monster. He's just so huge, you know, his arms and everything.
He was gigantic.
He made Dorian Yates look small. He made Ronnie Coleman look small.
The sky's the limit for me right now in terms of how big I can get. I'm not putting any barriers in how big I am going to get.
And we're back.
Yes, sir.
Unfiltered with Paul Dillett.
Oh, man. We got so much to unpack.
2025 Mr. Olympia. It is done.
It's in the books.
It's in the books.
It's in the books.
And I think it was as big or bigger than everybody thought.
I'm not sure if the Expo was any bigger than it was. No, it was no bigger than it was last year. Because they had some booths that they had upstairs that they brought downstairs.
Okay.
So I would say it's probably the same. Audience-wise, same. No bigger, no smaller. You know, the guys who are running the Olympia are doing a great job. You know. And
before we get to any of the results, like there was some talk of the Olympia not being in Vegas next year, but ultimately what it's not going to be is at resorts.
Yeah, so it's going to stay in Las Vegas. You know, from speaking with Jake, he said he's not moving it. We're on the podcast together when he said, no, we're staying in Las Vegas. They're just not going to be doing it at Resort World. I personally like it at Resort World. I think it's a beautiful venue, you know, world class, right on the Las Vegas Strip. But I think it has to be a financial thing, and
of course
has to make business sense for everyone involved, including Jake. He's the one, you know, paying all the bills.
Paying all the bills.
That's it.
That's right. That's right. At the end of the day, you know, I think that's one of the things that's been untalked about over the last week since the Olympia. It's at the end of the day, the Mr. Olympia and all shows are a business, and while it is a competition and all of that, just like the NBA or the NFL, all of those are businesses. And each owner of every franchise, every team in the NBA, every team in the NFL, they're all looking to profit. And the league is looking to profit. And that gets missed so much in any conversation.
Absolutely. Personally, for me as a business owner, when I look around at everything and what things cost and the amount of prize money, I don't see it being a moneymaker. There's no way someone can convince me that that show makes money. It loses money, 100%. And again, at the same time, the telltale is if you're making money, you wouldn't move it from where it is. So therefore, there's no chance that it's making money. It has to be losing money. So if I'm Jake, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I would move it, try to find some place that's, you know, where I can actually come out ahead.
Because at the end of the day, as the owner of any business, you're still looking to profit. You're still trying to, as much of a fan as you are of the sport, I'm sure Mark Cuban, when he bought the Dallas Mavericks, was thinking, I'm going to end up profiting from this at some point.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, you know, I met Jake last year, and I didn't form an opinion of him. You know, this year we get to spend a little more time together than last year. What a super nice guy. Super, super nice person. And he loves bodybuilding. He truly
That's what everyone says.
Yeah, he's a super nice person, and he loves bodybuilding. And I don't think he's doing this for the money. Definitely not doing it for the money. He's truly doing it for the love of the sport. So it's amazing to see someone who take over the Mr. Olympia and have the same or similar attitude that of a Joe Weider.
And that's what's needed or required to continue to elevate the sport and take it to whatever the next level might be. You need somebody who's a fan first.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think he's I know he's a fan. Definitely a fan.
So what was your experience like at this year's Olympia from, again, before we get into any of the show stuff, from the moment that you arrived, walking around the Expo, the venue? What was your experience like at the Olympia this year?
You know, last year was the first time I actually truly went to the Olympia And again, my wife convinced me this year to go because I wasn't planning on going. I actually made the decision 2 days prior. She said, "Well, I'm booking your flight." So I kind of had no choice. I had to go, and I was glad that I went. You know, I was able to reconnect with a lot of fans, which, you know, humbly, didn't realize that there's still so many people who are still fans of Paul Dillett. And I guess it's the whole resurgence of the 90s bodybuilding, you know, where I met kids who were 16, 20 years old who were fans. And they're telling me that they watch the Paul Dillett videos every day before they go to the gym. That's incredible, and that's amazing. And it is humbling to see that there's these young kids, you know, admire some old guy like myself, you know? So it's great.
Well, it's kind of like music, right? Like if you're a true fan of music, then you have to go back to where things originated. And if you're a fan of the sport, then the 90s is undeniably one of the better eras in bodybuilding. And if you're going to draw inspiration, then what better than to watch, you know, you 6 weeks out from a show training at Gold's to get you fired up for you know, a workout.
Absolutely. So from that perspective, it was exciting, and it's always great to be able to catch up with the guys. You know, I was able to catch up with Dexter and Sean, Chris, Ronnie, Kevin, Lee Priest, my illegitimate son, which I'm a little upset with him because he didn't spend enough time with his dad.
Well, when they get that age, it's not easy.
You know, these kids. What are you gonna do, man? But it was a great show. I enjoyed the whole weekend. The whole experience of it was amazing.
When you guys get together, is it like old times?
Absolutely. You know, it's just nice to sit with the guys and we talk and reminisce, talk about what it was when we were competing versus what it's like now. I know one of the things that I don't see it, maybe it exists, but from what I'm hearing, it doesn't exist, is the camaraderie that we had. You know, what I'm told is like, no, it's not there. Most of these guys don't really know each other. They don't spend time together, where back then, most of us, we knew each other, whether it's Dorian, Kevin, Sean, Flex, Chris, myself. We all knew each other. We all hung out. We go for lunch to dinner together. We'll go to dinner. We just spend time together, even though we were such strong, you know, rival.
I think that's one of the things that started playing out more and more when they started doing the live press conferences, and I think it's a question that a lot of people have but don't ask. As competitors, when you are not in control of the outcome because you're being judged, it's not like a race where you see the guy next to you, right?
That's it.
It's very different. Why is there so much animosity with the other competitor who has no say on where you place or what the judges, you know, think about you? Why are the competitors so at each other when they can't directly do anything to each other? It's not a fight.
I don't get it. And I think that's what we understood back in the day, that don't blame the man next to you if he plays ahead of you. He has nothing to do with it. It's every man do their homework and they get on that stage, and you tell yourself, let the chips fall where they may. And at the same time, you have to be respectful that he trained his ass off to be right there beside you, and that's why he's up there beside you, you know? So I think it's the respect factor that we had for each other, that after a show, we don't have anything negative to say. You might disagree with the judges and what they decide the outcome should be, but no animosity towards each other. At least I didn't, and most of the guys that I know.
I would think that there should be an appreciation because you know what that person went through to
Absolutely.
get there. You know, not just training wise or show, but you know the amount of work that goes into getting ready for a show of that caliber. So why be upset at the person that's next to you that went through the same thing when they have no influence where you place?
No, you can't be. You can't be.
Is it more for clicks for
I think today
social media?
I think that's the problem today, right? Everyone does everything for clickbaits. You know, nothing is genuine. You know, when we critique each other back in the day, we were harsh with each other, but we didn't mean it, you know, like trying to put the other person down. We would just say what we feel. there was no clicks or anything coming, you might just say, listen, I feel I was in better shape today than, so-and-so.
You also weren't really aware of what was going on with anybody else because no one was I feel like this year, everyone, it's almost needed to keep posting updates, YouTube videos, Instagram posts about where you are in your prep. And I understand that you keep your fans kind of like engage with your process. But back in your day, like you wouldn't see anybody till show day.
I don't get it. I say this to everyone. I say, why are you showing your competitor what you look like a month out, 3 weeks out? All you're doing is giving him ammunition because maybe he wasn't as good as he should have been. But after seeing your videos and your photos, that sparked him to say, shit, I got to step my game up. So,
or I'm going to skip that show.
Correct. So I don't get it. I don't get why, 2 days before guys are showing what they look like. I think what makes the fans so passionate also was that reason, because they didn't know what you were going to look like. They just go to the show and they're anticipating, oh man, this is going to be a battle. But now there's nothing to anticipate because you already know what they look like. You saw him the day before, and he's hitting every single pose. I wouldn't pay to go see that. I'm not paying because I already know what's going to, so I'm just going to sit and wait to hear the result because I already know what you look like. Back then, hell no, you don't know. We don't know what the next guy look like. We don't even know until magazine comes out and we see the photos.
You may not even get to see them on stage because you're right next to them.
We don't get to see it. The only time we saw each other was backstage, and it's still not the same as when you're standing in the front looking at someone on a stage. It's a whole different.
Which is another thing that's been talked about significantly in the last couple of weeks with the last couple of shows. Too many pictures and too many videos that are not telling the truth about what someone looks like because they get filtered before they get posted. And not the fans and not the critics are seeing what the judges are seeing or what the people there are seeing, because you're looking at pictures that have been either filtered before they're posted or videos that are not of good quality, and then making a judgment call on what you think should have happened.
Well, they put themselves in the perfect lighting, I mean, like you said, they put a filter on it. That's a double-edged sword, because once you do that, and the judges are only human, they saw that too. And when you come and you can't duplicate that, they're going to think you're not ready. They're going to think you're not in shape. They're going to think you mess up because you show them something that now that is their expectation. And same thing for the fans. The fans are like, well, I saw him a week ago and he looked better. No, he didn't. It's the filter they put on. Fuck the filter. Show the real shit. I tell people, when you see our photos from back in the day, there's no Photoshop. No. That's what you see is what you get. That's it. It's raw, unedited. I wish they would go back to that, but it's never going to happen.
Right. Like we live in a time where it's almost like everybody has to have a 24/7 reality show in order to keep that engagement up.
I talked to one kid. I think it was 4 of them, and they sat with me for like half an hour. And they were telling me how much they would have loved to be in our era because they don't do photo shoots anymore. And I was telling them, I said, yeah, we had to do our photo shoots. That was a part of the deal. And they're like, oh, man, that was so cool. I said, yes, it was cool. That was a part of the process. You're going to do your shoot, you prep for your shoot. And the photos you get were incredible. I said it before, when you shoot with someone like Chris Lund, you can't go in there with pretend weights. That is real weight. He wants real. You can't come in there with some little fake plastic weight. That's what made it so authentic.
Right.
That's what made it so incredible.
Definitely a different level of authenticity with what was being done back then and all the things that can be done now.
Yeah. Man. Someone saw the last podcast and they said, oh, Paul, so you guys didn't have tripod? I tell them, I said, man, that's a joke. You go to the gym to bust your ass, not to take pictures while you're training.
Indeed. Was there a booth or anything that stood out to you during your time the first couple days
No,
during the expo?
no. Walking through an expo now, nothing about it impressed me because I'm from an era again where guys who grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, remember companies like EAS, Muscle Tech, they would have booths they're spending $1 million on. I mean, it was incredible. It was truly incredible, and people can go back to YouTube and look at it, and they'll see what I'm talking about. That no, to me, most of it looked like a flea market. It's a lot of small little rinky-dink booth. Where back in the day, no chance. Remember bodybuilding.com, massive booth. Muscle and Fitness and Flex magazine had massive. Everybody just had these incredible, elaborate booths. So for me, I walked through there and I'm like, literally half an hour and I'm out. There's really nothing for me to see.
Interesting. Was did you go to the prejudging Friday night, or did you show up a little bit earlier?
I was at prejudging.
Okay.
I went to prejudging. I didn't want to miss anything. I wanted to be there and see everything from start to finish.
Okay. So Friday night, was there talk amongst your crew on any predictions or expectations?
Absolutely. Dennis James, Dexter, Milos, Chris Cormier, Melvin Anthony, Tony Friedman. Everyone were picking who they think is going to place where. Before the pre-show, I pick Samson.
Okay.
Yeah, I pick Samson because I like his physique the best of all the guys right now. But after watching the pre-show, I had Andrew Jack winning. I had Hadi second, but if the judges had put Hadi first and Andrew second, I would be okay with that too.
Okay.
I just feel like Andrew was tall, ripped to shreds. Hadi, condition kind of, I always say this, reminds me of old school bodybuilding, grainy. His abs are so sunk in. He had this serratus. I mean, so he looked incredible. Samson, still for me, still the best physique of all the guys because of the small waist. And he did come down. He did come down in weight. I know I'm one of the people who said he needed to come down in weight.
Do you think he lost some of the fullness that he had last year pursuing, that conditioning?
I think so. I think he lost some of the fullness, and he needs that fullness because he has that full, muscle belly. So it's a balance, right? People think it's easy. It's not easy when you're trying to. You want to have the condition, but at the same time be able to hold that full muscle belly.
Well, let's talk about that for a second because that's never talked about, and I know it's something that if people wanted more of your insight on, they can get at the Brotherhood of Iron School. But how is a competitor supposed to know what they're going to look like if they don't come in looking flat or smaller because they chase conditioning? So you almost have to be prepared to lose some spots in placing if you're trying to figure out what look you're going to pursue. It has to be part of the bigger game.
Absolutely. And I've been in the game for over 40 years now. If you're interested in learning more about the Brotherhood of Iron and what I did to be able to come into a show even at 265 pounds, and people thought I weighed close to 300. There is a trick. There is a secret to it. You can always check out my Brotherhood of Iron. I said after 40 years in the game, I think I've learned a little something.
A little bit.
So go and check it out.
We'll have a link in the description.
Absolutely. You do have to sometimes maybe sacrifice to say I'm learning my body. And I think for Samson it's the same thing. He's still learning his body, what works best for him. How does he achieve what we're talking about, which is the guy has incredible shape. Size is unbelievable. But how do I hold on to my size, my shape, and get that polished condition with it? It is not easy. Can he do it? Me personally, yes, I think he can do it. Will he do it? That's up to him, right? Guy, like I said, the guy has an amazing physique. I admire his physique. My favorite physique right now. But on that day, Andrew Jack was my guy. Again, perhaps his back was unreal. When he does a most muscular or a cross most muscular, everything was there: serratus, abs, quads. Should have been Mr. Olympia, you know. Like I said, if Hadi had took it, I would have said that's okay too.
One of the things that is being said is it's almost like it looks really effortless for Andrew, that he seems uninterested. Do you think that was? Did you see that way, or is that something that's against him?
I spoke to him Friday night for about a minute, and I told him, I said, you know, I feel like people say the same thing about you that sometimes they would say about me. And after talking to him, you know, he wants it. And I told him, I said, Saturday night you have to go out there and you're going to have to fight for it. I said, you do look disinterested when you're up there. And I said, listen, there's no way you look the way you do
if you're not.
If you're not. So people need to cut the bullshit about he doesn't look like he. Of course he wants it. He wants it just as bad as anyone else. And to look the way he did tells me he wanted it more than anyone else. I mean, super nice guy also. Really like his personality. And he came out Saturday night and he came out to fight. He came to fight. He put in the fight. He put in the work. He had everything, and he should have walked home with the Sandow.
When you see somebody that brings out the level of quality of muscle and conditioning that Andrew had, that Hadi had, and then you see almost like the opposite in Nick Walker, does that play against him because that's not the direction that, let's say, the Mr. Olympia brand is going in? Or is he so much bigger than everybody else that it seems like it doesn't, fit?
Well, first off, I want to congratulate Derek on winning his second.
Of course,
Mr. Olympia.
We haven't gotten to Derek yet.
That's an incredible achievement.
Absolutely.
And, I saw Milos made a post that said Derek didn't pick himself the winner, and I have to agree with Milos. But at the same time, I'm never gonna go around and criticizing an incredible competitor and someone who won the title twice. So hats off to him. Nick Walker, guy's a beast.
Humongous. He takes up the whole stage.
Yes, he does. I don't know how anyone else fit with him up there. I think what's working for him is just his personality. He's a character. He has a big personality online, and it's amazing. And he's probably gonna make more money than most guys, even the top four. If I'm him, I'm gonna play on that. I'm gonna use that. He's definitely the people's champion. Besides Andrew, he was the one who got the biggest applause. So that tells you everything you need to know.
The fans are behind him.
Yeah. Is he going to be Mr. Olympia? No, I don't think so. But who the hell am I, right? I admire, his physique for the size he puts on. And Saturday night, he came Saturday night, and he looked a lot better condition-wise than he did Friday night. Incredible arms, incredible shoulders, huge quads. I mean, so if I'm him, I'm gonna work what I got and make that work for me.
When there were 4 former Mr. Olympias in the show, when Derek comes out, is there an aura about having won the title once that makes you stand out on stage? Like Brandon Curry was in the show, Samson. But when Derek comes out, did he come out knowing that this was his weekend?
Hard to say. Someone who got overlooked, Brandon Curry. Brandon Curry, you got overlooked, brother. I'm telling you. And as the show went on, he kept getting better. And anyone else, any other pro that was sitting there cannot deny that as the show went on, he was one of the guys who kept getting better and better. Friday night, I wanted the prejudging to last longer, because the longer the prejudging go, the better condition guys get in. And I know I had a brief conversation with Jake Woods,
Okay.
and he said the same thing to me. He goes, "Yeah, I kind of wish it had lasted a little longer, because I was thinking the exact same thing, that the longer the guys are there, the better they get. They're squeezing out that water. And I don't care how many times you've been on that stage. This is the Mr. Olympia stage. You still have jitters. Anyone say they don't, you're full of shit. You know, so, but after being on the stage for 10, 15 minutes, that's gone. And it's just all out fierce competition now. You know, so I wish that had lasted a little longer, you know. But it's hard to say, because there were 4 other Mr. Olympia on the stage. That's never happened.
That's never happened.
You know.
And I think most people didn't have Brandon in the top 10. Like going into like Friday or Saturday, like no one was even talking about him. It was almost as if like, yeah, he's won it, but we've got all these other guys.
Yeah.
I think it was everyone was waiting to see what shape Samson brought. I think most people expect Hadi to come in hard, and then Derek would have been the what is this version of him going to look like on this stage? But I guess the question is, did he have some level of poise or confidence that was different than Hadi or Samson that you noticed?
I guess because he won 2 shows earlier in the year also. He won the Arnold and he won the Pittsburgh. So that does give you a certain level of confidence. I would think Samson should be the guy to have the most confidence, because he is the defending, you know, champion.
Reigning champ.
Yeah, so therefore, I would have think but Derek came out, he was extremely confident. Take nothing away from anything. He did everything he was supposed to do. He posed right, entertained the audience, you know. And in the end, he was victorious.
There's always a thought that the taller bodybuilder always looks better.
I'm gonna say yes.
But if you look at some of the taller physiques, and I think Lee Haney said that, he's like, there should be another class just for the taller guys, right? You look at Samson's physique and you look at Derek side by side, and it almost looks as if Andrew is carrying more muscle pound for pound because of his height.
Oh God, yeah. He towers over him, right? Towers over him, and that's a debate that's been going on for a long time. You know, it's like, should there be 2 classes for a short and a tall? You know,
instead of the 212 and the open, would it be tall and short? You know, because a lot of these 212 guys are moving up.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple of them that
right.
moved.
Derek was a 212. Hadi was a 212.
Yeah.
So it would make sense. What's one of the things in person that you noticed that people wouldn't be able to see in pictures or videos? Because that's the other thing. There's so much fighting on the internet now over, you know, who someone thinks should do better. People are using AI to you know, counter what the judges say. But what's one of the things that you noticed while you were there that you're just never going to see in pictures?
Well, it's hard to judge someone on stage based on a photo. You know, you can't use a photo to judge them. You got to be there with your own lion eyes, you know, to tell you, this is what you see. This is what's there, man. You know, what you see on social media, I believe nothing I see anymore.
That's true.
It's all bullshit, you know. So the whole AI thing now, God, today wasn't the first time I'm hearing people are talking about using AI to decide, you know, who was the better bodybuilder, who was the better shape, and all these different things. I guess that's progress, right? I mean, if it's a machine that's calling it, does it make it more accurate?
But, you know, as again, I think drawing from your experience, which is one of the things that AI is never going to have, side by side, maybe it can detect certain things, but can it detect confidence? Can it understand posing presentation? Can it understand side-by-side comparison? Can it detect how somebody keeps improving if the rounds go longer? Can it see all of those things, or is it simply able to detect one person next to the other and then make a judgment call on that?
That's what I think. I have to agree. I agree with what you said. It's not going to say, "Oh, he's getting better." No, again,
or even the entertainment value.
Yeah, I think if I had to one fault, I would find with the judging, and they're all experienced judge, and they're all incredible judge. They've been doing it for a long time, maybe too long. Because when I can go there, and I see judges that were judging myself, I'm like, well, I haven't competed in like over 20 plus years, and I came and saw those judges. Sometimes it's time for a change, maybe bringing some new guys, some of the guys from, my era.
Some of the former competitors.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to have a different take.
Yeah, because when we do the podcast together, I mean, we all have different opinion, and we don't look at the guys as because we know someone or don't know them. We're just being completely honest as to what we see, and we debate each other. And sometimes another guys will say, yeah, you know what, you're right, because we might point out something to each other that maybe maybe other judges might not see because they weren't a competitor.
Right.
We were in the trenches. Again, we're going to keep it fair because we know how hard each man worked, and we want the best guys to win. Doesn't mean we're going to do a better job than the guys who are doing it right now, but sometimes maybe it's time to change the guards.
How different is it when the presentation starts and somebody comes out on their own, and how they look versus when they're in that lineup with 5-6 other guys?
It's a good question because there's a lot of guys who walk out and by themselves, you're like, it's over. But then the whole lineup comes out, and then you're like, okay, alrighty then. So it's a big difference when, again, Nick Walker walks out by himself, and you're like, oh shit, lights out. But when the other guys come out, then it exploit his weaknesses.
Were there any physiques that you saw that maybe you had placing higher, or do you think inside of that top 5, top 6, they got it, pretty much dead on?
Well, I think they miss it. Like I said, for me,
Brandon.
Yeah, it should have been Andrew and Hadi. Between Brandon and Samson, either one could have been third or fourth. Both incredible, comparators, both of them. But it's just it's the name of this game. You can miss your mark by 1 hour. It is what it is, and I'm sure they'll all agree. Yeah, it's true. You could see a guy 3 hours later, and you're like, man, why did he look like this? The pressure is off. But like I said, the top 4, in no particular order, they got it right on the money.
Can we go back to something that you just said? I think the fans sometimes don't understand how important the timing is on nailing that look. The show goes later, you may miss it, especially if you've never peaked at that time of the day. Were there any shows that you did that because the show ran later, like maybe you showed up better if it would have been at a certain time, and as another hour went, your body starts to...
That's so easy. That's so easy. We were competing in Spain at a Spanish Grand Prix. Our flights were more than 10 hours delayed, and we were in an airport for 10 hours. That's crazy. I don't know how we did it, but we showed up, and we still look incredible. I mean...
Who was in that show with you?
Oh, God. I know Milos was there. I think Kevin Levrone. Dorian was on that. NASA, the late NASA El Sombadi, great amazing competitor. I'm trying to think who.
Chris?
Yeah, I think Chris was there. Chris is there. But yeah, but that show, we were 10 hours late. You know, I mean, yeah, that's just it's a part of the game. But what you were saying about fans, you know, fans, the word stands for fanatics, right? And it's a good thing because they love the person that they're rooting for so much that you know, they can do no wrong, and they don't judge it the way someone like myself or the other guys might see it, where we are not fanatics. You know?
Right.
You know, I like the guy's physique. I think he's amazing, but at the same time, I'm not a fanatic. I'm going to tell you my personal opinion. Doesn't mean it's right. It's just what I think. And like I said, after 40 years in the game, I think I know a little something. Not a lot, but a little.
Do you think they're pushing that bigger, fuller look over a lot of the conditioning from back in the day?
I think it's
Or do you think they're rewarding it more?
It looks that way. If you go by condition, then you're gonna pick Hadi or Andrew. If it just by condition, hands down, you're gonna pick either one. Again, you know, the judges it's a tough job.
Or even on the judging. So
Yeah.
for somebody, again, that's looking just at the bodies or maybe just at the pictures, you're still being judged on 8 shots.
Yeah.
Right? And of the 8, you're still looking at the person that scores the highest on average of those 8 shots. So it's still going to be math at the end. So Derek didn't necessarily have to win I don't think Dorian won every shot, right? So Derek didn't have to win he just had to have a better score overall, shot per shot.
Well, you know, I'm glad you asked that question because give me a chance to interject myself in there. I mean, that was always my argument, where people say, well, you know, Dillett lose it from the back. Okay, when we say from the back, not from the waist down, because no one still touches me in the hamstrings. I was one of the few guys who had cross striations on his hamstrings, and my calves were feathers to hell, and I still had a 22-inch, 24-inch calves, easily. You know, still 32-inch thighs. So let's be clear. When we say he lose it from the back.
But what about the other 7 shots?
So maybe someone beat me in a back double bicep. Maybe they beat me in a back lat spread. So, but what about the rest?
Right.
You didn't beat me in a side chest. You're not going to beat me in a side
most
tricep.
muscular.
Most muscular. Perhaps some of the best abs of a big man ever. So let's call it what it is. You know, I mean, that's just how I see it.
That's the way you see it.
Again, just how I see it. It should, if you judge it by that, by saying round by round, here are the mandatory poses that we're judging. How many rounds did this person win versus the other person? You know, and like you say, it's simple math.
Or should be.
I'm getting a question. Do I ever get ignorant back in the day? Oh, I got ignorant in Russia.
Oh, do tell.
Oh,
do
my
tell.
God. Mike Matarazzo, I love that guy, man. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. I'm so
Monster
sad.
calves.
Oh, man. Monster calves, monster arms, and just such an amazing personality. Just such a super, super nice guy. I miss him. I remember one Grand Prix in Russia that those bastard, man. I got screwed over so fucking bad. And I'm like, I'm backstage going, F this, F that. And these bastards want to come and take a picture with me. I'm like, you just fucked me over. And you want to come and take a picture with me? Are you fucking out of your mind? And I'm going off, and Matarazzo's like, Paul, you can't do this. You can't say that. These are the Russian, you know what? You know? And everyone's trying to calm me down because I was just so fucking pissed. You know? Again, it's just being young and stupid, you know?
Part of the journey.
Correct.
But I think you're right. Like one of the things is always that. It's like if you lose one round or one shot, what about the other 6 or 7 shots?
I agree.
You're right. So mathematically, then it should add up the right way, and then that shows you that then some of the judging is being what you said. It's the same judges over and over, and everybody has their own personal bias, and it is an opinion, and it is subjective. So,
judges can say whatever they want. At the end of the day, if a show is close, they're going to go with the person's physique that they like. Not necessarily what the criteria requires, but what they like. Doesn't make it a good thing, doesn't make it a bad thing. They're only human. That's all it is. That's really what it is. But I do think, agree or disagree, I do think that the panel needs to be changed up a bit. The panel needs to be changed up. Bring some new guys in, new guys or girls, because I got to tell you, what impressed me the most at Mr. Olympia was the women's physique and the women's figure. They were fucking incredible. They were symmetrical. Their condition was on freaking real. I was blown away by them.
That's always such a great testament to where women's bodybuilding is headed. When at this stage in the game, you can walk away and say like, "Wow, that was impressive."
For the female bodybuilding side, 2 ladies impressed me. The second place, she was amazing. But the lady that won first, I think that was her 6th title.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, she's a specimen, man. She's a hybrid.
It's incredible.
Oh my! Listen, ain't no one gonna beat her. I don't care what you do. She could win. She could break all the records. Sorry, Linda. And I did saw Linda, my girl. But this lady's amazing, man. You can't find one body part in her that's missing or something that's not all incredible.
That's great. That's great that you walked away with that. Did you get to catch some of the classic?
The classic physique, yes, I did get to catch the kid who won.
Dino?
Ramon from Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, amazing. I usually say guys should stay within their category. I think he has the room and the look to actually put on 10 pounds and look incredible in the open. Yes, and I don't usually say that, but I think he could, because just looking at, even I see some photos of him a week later, and he looks about 10, 15 pounds heavier, but just as ripped. So I think that's someone who
can step into that.
Oh, easily, 100%.
Because he's on the taller side.
Yes, he is. And just like I said,
and he has full legs, full arms. Some of the classic guys seem to be. It's almost like the ascension of men's physique. They go into classic, they get a little bit bigger, but they're still not quite at the open level. But a lot of them look like they're in between.
Yes, he like I said, he's one of the guys that I look at and I'm like, man, this kid has room to put on 10, 15 pounds. And if he puts on 10, 15 pounds, he can still keep that shape. And I think he'll still keep that exact condition. Beautiful physique. Nothing, he doesn't, some physiques you can look at and think, maybe something. No, he has everything going for him. Man, if he puts on 10, 15 pounds, the game has changed.
Lights out.
Oh, hell yeah, I'm telling you.
Do you think, speaking of what we were just talking about, do you think that a physique that's proportionate, stepping into open bodybuilding, comes in lean, comes in tight, all symmetrically aligned like the classic look, does it not blend into that bigger, massive look that they've been pushing for a while? Or is it so symmetrical that it's like, all right, we have to change the standard?
Again, like I said, from what I see of him, I think he can definitely step into that role of going into the open and change the game. Where he still has he's going to have the size, but he's going to still have that classic look.
Do you think that's what's needed? Like somebody to come in and just lights out, change the game altogether, be so undeniable and so different that you can't help but say we've got to go in this direction? I
think, again, he's a good-looking kid, so very marketable. you know, and just the physique that he has, he could change the game. He really could, because at the end of the day, the part of the show that I think pulls the most audience is the Open.
For sure.
You know, so if he's listening, you know, hey man, I'd rather win 600,000 than 100,000.
Makes a big difference,
go,
right?
brother.
Makes a big difference.
Hell yeah.
10 or 15 pounds, you know, 6x your paycheck.
Hey, listen, if you want to learn how to put on that extra 15 pounds, brother, you know how to reach me. Do it. I'm listening. I'm waiting.
What about some of the other categories, like men's physique and bikini, where they had almost 70 competitors in each one? Do you think that is good for Mr. Olympia weekend, or do you think that it kind of like dilutes the show a little bit?
I'm old school, man. Mr. Olympia should be Mr. Olympia. Nobody else should be called Mr. Olympia but Mr. Olympia. That's just how it is. You know, just keeping it real. The guys, those guys were amazing. Also, I catched a little bit of that show, and the guy who won it from the UK,
Ryan Terry,
amazing physique, condition, wow. I mean, it was over when he came out. You see it; it was clear he won the title hands down. You know, so I am impressed with them. I really am. I'm not a fan of judging half of a physique. It's, you know, it's no fault of their own. You know, that's just how I feel about that. But I am impressed with them. I think they look incredible. Women's
bikini.
The bikini, I'm not impressed with it at all. You know, I was more impressed with it last year.
Okay.
I feel like they're too skinny. They look almost anorexic. I hate the idea of everyone having black hair, red bikini. The shoulders are jacked and shredded. The quads, too much. You know, like for me, in my organization, that wouldn't work. You know, I still think bikini should be bikini. It should be softer, tone, and it should be a very attainable physique. It shouldn't be something that a woman has to diet so hard, lose so much that their face are so sunk in that their skin on the face looks like paper. A woman looks healthier and nicer when the face has more fat in it versus a man. When you see a guy and he's chiseled like that, looks better on a man. But for me, not in a female. That's not bikini. I'm sorry. So again, like I said, my opinion, bikini should be toned. It's a bikini body. It's what you would see on the beach.
Right.
Those bodies you're not going to see on the beach. And then I'm being told that all these women are injecting all this oil into their bum, into their glutes, you know? And because when you look at it, they all their bums look identical. There is no way you are going to be a woman and lose that much weight that your face is so gone, you're going to keep a bum. No, you're not, because your bum is mostly fat and muscle, more fat than muscle, you know? So I wasn't impressed with that.
Do you think that not only in women's bikini, but I would say in most categories, that everybody is kind of accommodating what the feedback from judges is and what they see, quote unquote, working, and then trying to model that the next time up, and then as a result, you get a lot of women with black hair and red bikinis because they're trying to model what the recipe looks like that is working.
What I heard is that is the criteria that they're asked for, that everyone looks the same, and I'm like, why would I want a stage with everyone looking the same? Everyone should look with a look that they think is best for them, not what someone says. No, I think that's stupid. I'm sorry, but that's foolish. That's dumb. No, if you are blonde, you're blonde. If you have purple hair, you have purple hair. Whatever the hell you want to do is what you should do. If you're a judge, then you should be good enough to know, to be able to look on the stage and say, here are the criteria, here's what we're looking for. And whether the hair is brown, red, green, red bikini, purple bikini, you pick the person based on the criteria that you're looking for. Like I said, I think more harm than good is going to come out of women being that lean And then once the show's over, how much weight are you going to gain? What are you doing to your body?
Right.
Your adrenal glands, what's going to happen there? Because that's not natural.
What do you think, or where do you see the line between the physique that someone wants to have and then the physique that they are trying to achieve to reach the criteria? Because if you look at, for example, some of the women in wellness, wellness has changed significant in the last 2 or 3 years, but it seems like every year it's either bigger or not as big, and they keep changing it back and forth. And do the girls competing, but I say this about all competitors, are you losing out on the physique that you want to bring in just because you're trying to fit the criteria?
Of course you're going to lose out, you know? And again, the same thing for me with the wellness. It's not my thing, you know? I just think the girls from their waist to the bottom of their glutes, they look like a horse's hiney. You know, it's just too much. It's just too much. It's too big, you know, too muscular. But again, that's the criteria that they're looking for, you know. Not my thing, not what I would look for in my WBFF organization. But again, it's good that there is something different, right? So therefore, women have a choice that they can choose to go that route or go the route that I go, which is, again, a fuller bum, fuller leg, small waist, a more voluptuous woman.
Right. Now, it's as far as some of the things that you enjoy. What about the actual stage, the lights, the setup, the stuff that you like?
Well, I mean, I love lights. I love production. Doing the podcast with the guys, you know, I'm telling them about light. We're talking because we're saying Friday night. They didn't get the lights right Friday night, which they didn't. And I was explaining to the guys, you know, about lighting, and they're like, "Paul, speak English." You know, I mean, I love theatrical lights, you know, but Saturday night they did get it right. They came back. They had a great production. They had so many things that I look up and I look at and I think, I wish they would have used the things they had. They had a massive LED screen and all the lasers and all these things, and I feel like they could have done so much more with it that they didn't do. So, you know, that part I was just sitting there like just grinding my teeth, and I'm like, man, this could look so much cooler if they would use all the lights and the LEDs and the laser that they have, where it's hard for people to actually appreciate what they did because they didn't utilize it to me.
I think that's definitely something that you bring to the table that other shows are not, in terms of the show itself, the presentation, the lights, the thing that makes it entertaining, aside from the people that are on stage. Like the quality of the shows in WBFF is not something that's replicated.
Often imitated, never duplicated. I love production. You know, it's been my whole thing. You know, my wife gets mad at me because she says, you spend too much money on production, but I can't help it. She says, no one appreciated it. I said, but I do. I sit in the back and I love looking at it and say, oh man, this is what we're about. This is what separates us from everyone else. You know, it's the passion that myself and her put into this. You know, on her end, she wants all the women to look beautiful and enjoy themselves and just to have a weekend where they feel empowered, you know. So she does an incredible job with that. She's very passionate about it. I admire her for her dedication to it, and just always want to try to empower women. For me, it's like I said, it's truly about the production. I just want to see something unique. I want to see something different, you know. And when we started this, that's how we started it, and we're never gonna change it. That's why we put it in incredible venues, and our production is second to none. Like, we don't compare ourselves to anyone, but no one in the fitness industry can compare to us in what we do production-wise.
Absolutely. What would you do different if you were back in your day, after having done everything that you've done, after Olympia weekend, go on the European Grand Prix tour, what would you do different that some of these guys are missing out on that you see? Like, some of them don't compete again till next season. Very few of them continue to compete throughout the rest of the year. Knowing what you know now, walking out of the Olympia, what would you do? Would you do it the same?
Well, I give a lot of top guys credit. I see Samson is competing
In Prague.
Yeah, that's awesome, because he's gonna learn what his body can do, and he's gonna get it right. He's gonna get it right, and Samson is my pick to win it again next year. So I think going to Prague and going to some of these other Grand Prix shows, he'll learn more of what his body can do and how to get it right. And I know he's gonna get it right. So I admire the fact that he's doing that show. And, I forgot who were the other guys.
Martin Fitzwater's doing that show.
Yeah.
There was just a show in Mexico this weekend.
Yeah.
Regan Grimes was at that one. Sean Clarita did that one as well. Tony O'Burton, who I think came in 9th or 10th.
Yeah, which is good. It's good for these guys to go in. And it's good for for the fans in those places to see some of the guys who are the top 10 Mr. Olympia, contenders.
Now, as one of the taller guys in your day, as we're talking, you look at Samson and you look at Andrew. What does one have to do to beat the other? Since they're two taller guys that are bigger with conditioning, or is that a toss up?
Well, it all depends. And Samson has the fuller muscle bellies.
Okay.
Samson has the fuller muscle bellies. Andrew has the better conditioning.
Okay.
Andrew has the conditioning, so it would be fun. It would be amazing to see both guys at their best, just going head to head. At any time, I think either one of those guys could be first and second at the Mr. Olympia, or should be first and second at Mr. Olympia.
And that's a whole other set of arguments.
Completely.
Yeah. So what's next for Paul as the Mr. Olympia just wrapped up? We still have 2 more months to go in 2025. What do you got going on the rest of the year?
The rest of the year, we're focusing right now on our Atlantic City Pro-Am, which is December 13th. We're looking forward to that. We're excited about it. I know Miss Allison is working her butt off to make that show incredible. It's going to be incredible. It's always a great show for us. So if you're doing nothing, December 13th, come join us. I'd love to have you there.
And what about any words of wisdom for some of these competitors that you wish somebody would have passed on to you when you were in your prime?
Well, for me, in my prime, I was, again, very fortunate that I had a lot of good people around. I was fortunate to have Joe Weider right there, people like Mike Christian, Charles Glass, so we were, we were fortunate. I was fortunate to have those people in my life who tell you when you were wrong or if you're doing something right. And I was very open-minded to listen to whatever they say. And at the same time, I just had really great training partners like Flex, Chris, Rico, So for me, I was fortunate. I was in the sport at a time when we had, like I said, that camaraderie.
And what would you pass on to one of the guys now?
For me, I just think enjoy what you're doing. Keep in mind that there is life after bodybuilding. I think that's one of the most important thing I could tell people is there is life after bodybuilding. Make sure you have an exit strategy to make sure that when it's over, and sometimes it's over quicker than you might expect. So plan for that. Plan for tomorrow.
That was great. Well, guys, thank you all for watching, for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave your comments, questions. Make sure you check out Paul Dillett's Brotherhood of Iron on School. And until next time,
we're going to see you, and God knows what else I'm going to be talking about. So make sure you check it out. Don't forget, Brotherhood of Iron. You want to learn? I'm here to teach you.